Our sponsor, Cook Unity, is the only meal subscription that brings locally sourced meals from award-winning chefs right to your door every week. Cook Unity is a collective of some of the best chefs in the country, handcrafting meals in their micro kitchens, delivered fresh, never frozen. There are hundreds of dishes to choose from. The menu is updated constantly. Pick as few as 4 or as many as 16 meals per week. Go to cookunity.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman before checkout for 50% off your first week. Well, my friends, we made it to Election Day. It is not going to be much longer until we know which of two starkly different paths does this country take. I want to do a final review of polling and projections. I've held off. I got the message in the last couple of weeks. You don't want to hear about any polling unless it's good for Kamala Harris. I'm sort of simplifying and exaggerating, but we have backed off of the polling and betting markets significantly for weeks now, but we are going to do a final review, see where we are, see Kamala Harris's final rally, see Donald Trump's final rally, and the final and last minute cases that have been made by the candidates as to why the American people should vote for them. Let's start with presidential, where the 538 projection is landing is essentially a coin flip. 538 has locked and frozen. Is that your final answer? Yes, lock it in. With essentially a 50-50 race. 538's final projection. There is a 50% chance that Kamala Harris wins, a 49% chance that Trump wins, and a slightly less than 1% chance that we end with a 269 to 269 tie in the Electoral College. Make of that what you will. In the Real Clear Politics battleground average, this is Real Clear Politics doesn't have like a more overall kind of forecast, but it'll come down to the swing states, and on that basis, the Real Clear Politics battleground state polling averages have Kamala Harris winning Wisconsin and Virginia, and Trump winning the other battleground states, Arizona to Trump, Nevada to Trump, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia to Trump. Now, what I can tell you is that from these states here, if the outcomes are as Real Clear Politics has it, except Harris gets Pennsylvania, then Harris gets the 270 she needs, and she becomes president. Nate Silver's final silver bulletin. He locked it at midnight 30 this morning and says, happy election day. We ran our simulation model for the final time. Out of 80,000 simulations, Kamala Harris won 50.015% of them. She did not win 49.985. This is as close to a coin flip as you can get. And Nate Silver says, I'm not quite sure what to say about this, but we'll have a newsletter out later. So essentially another 50-50 coin flip. As you know, Alan Lichtman's qualitative analysis, which looks at 13 keys, says that Kamala Harris will win. We had Alan Lichtman on the show explaining that in detail, and you can check out that interview. And then we have some prediction markets, each of which is worth more or less, depending on who you ask. The predicted market has ended up with Trump just slightly ahead of Kamala Harris. You might say, how do these end up adding up to more than 100? The answer essentially doesn't matter, but these are not percentages, is the thing to understand. But Trump with a very, very slight lead, really close to a coin flip. Polymarket, which is the Peter Thiel associated prediction market, has it for Trump by roughly 62 to 38. This is, of course, the big criticism of this is totally being pushed by rich Trump supporters dumping money in for Trump, and it doesn't really reflect the likely outcomes, but this has it at roughly 62 to 38 for Trump. And then we have Kalshi. Kalshi is another betting market. This one just days ago almost converged at 50-50, but since has spread towards Trump once again landing very close to the poly market, betting market, 59% for Trump, 41% for Kamala Harris. That all being said, even this prediction market does expect Kamala Harris to win the popular vote and expects Trump to win the Electoral College. So pick what you want. This is going to be close electorally, unless it's not. And let me explain that. One of the growing narratives about all of the polling is that there is herding going on. Herding being the idea that you have a bunch of polls clustered around a coin flip, and then that you come in as a pollster, you do a poll and you go, oh my goodness, it's looking like a Kamala blowout. I don't want to be the outlier here. I don't want to be really wrong. I'd rather be as wrong as everybody else. So then you get a poll that says, I think Kamala's going to crush. And you say, well, let me adjust some of the crosstabs and the methodology and the sampling and the weighting so that my poll ends up looking just like all the others. And then the next poll comes in and does the same thing. So there is a possibility, if that theory is convincing to you, there is a possibility that this is not close. If it's not close, it's tough to imagine Trump blowing out Kamala. It's easier to imagine Kamala Harris blowing out Trump. So that's the kind of caveat. Now, as far as the Senate, my opinion is there's not that much to talk about as far as the Senate goes. It seems clear the Senate is going to be going to Republicans. The 538 forecast has it as Republicans win 92% of simulations and take control of the Senate, whereas Democrats win only 8% of simulations. If the Republicans are essentially guaranteed to get 50 seats, if they get 50 and the presidency, they have control. There are also many scenarios in which Republicans get 51 seats or more. And in those, it won't even matter who wins the White House. I expect Republicans to have control of the Senate. And finally, what about the House of Representatives? It's basically a coin flip. The 538 average has it 51-49 for Democrats. It really will come down to turnout, and it will probably mirror to some degree. I mean, let me put it this way. If the Seltzer poll is right, that Kamala's leading Iowa, you probably will see Democrats controlling the House. That's the most likely outcome. On the other hand, if it doesn't all go as a pro-Kamala as some are hoping and suggesting, then it's totally conceivable that Republicans take control of the House. So those are the final numbers there. Let's now get to Kamala Harris's final really case for herself on the campaign trail. Kamala Harris clarified something yesterday on the campaign trail that, in my opinion, needed no clarification. And it's that, unlike Trump, she is not going to seek revenge against Trump voters. Trump has said, I might seek revenge against Nikki Haley primary voters. I don't even want them to vote for me. Trump has said he will seek revenge against media outlets he doesn't like the coverage of him from. He will seek revenge against Kamala voters. He is going to weaponize the judiciary against his political enemies. Kamala Harris said yesterday she's not going to do that. She will give everybody a seat at the table because she will be the president for everybody.
It is my pledge to you to listen to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, to listen to experts, and to listen to people who disagree with me, because I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. And you know what, by the way, listen, we are fighting for a democracy right now. And we love our democracy, and democracy can be a bit complicated sometimes. But that's okay. We are fighting for a democracy.
A very different message from that of grievance and revenge from Donald Trump. Kamala Harris spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania yesterday. We're going to get to her big Philadelphia speech, which ended near midnight. But throughout the day, Kamala Harris telling Pennsylvanians later, telling Pennsylvanians, we have the momentum. It might come down to this state. It really might.
So Allentown, this is it. Just one more day. One more day. One more day left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime, and momentum is on our side. Momentum is on our side. Can you feel it? We have momentum, right? Because our campaign has tapped into the ambitions and the...
All right, and I apologize for the low audio level there. Apparently Antifa running the microphone, but the point here is Kamala Harris in 5 different stops in Pennsylvania saying we are fighting for something and I will be the president for everyone. Whereas Trump is fighting against things, most of them imaginary, and he is actually going to target his political opponents. Here's one more from Kamala Harris from Pittsburgh.
And instead of stewing over an enemies list, I will spend every day working on my to-do list, full of priorities to improve your life, because ours is not a fight against something. It is a fight for something. It is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom, like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
Ultimately, Kamala Harris making the case here that what she is laying out is a vision of doing good things for everybody, whereas Trump's vision is one of revenge, grievance, and only being the president for those who support him. Importantly, in her final speech of the campaign in Philadelphia, Kamala Harris restating the inclusive nature of her campaign. I want to focus in on that a little bit. Minutes before midnight Eastern last night, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris made her final case to voters. As Donald Trump could barely speak and could barely think in Michigan, Kamala Harris was in the state most likely to be the deciding state in tonight's presidential election, Pennsylvania. And in Philadelphia, near the stroke of midnight, Kamala Harris delivering her final plea that hers would be an inclusive presidency and it would be a presidency held together by positive things rather than attacks and grievance. Let's take a listen to just these last couple of minutes.
Our campaign has brought together people from all corners of this nation and from all walks of life, united by our love for our country and our faith in a brighter, stronger, and more hopeful future that we will build together. And tonight, then we finish as we started, with optimism, with energy, with joy, knowing that we, the people, have the power to shape our future and that we can confront any challenge we face when we do it together. Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. And now, the baton is in our hands. And to everyone who continues to pour so much of yourselves into this campaign as an extension of your love for our country.
Kamala Harris making the case that part of what we are voting for today is not about political party, but it's about, do we support and defend the Constitution of the United States or don't we?
I see the promise of America in everyone who is here, in all of you. We are the promise of America. We are the promise of America. I see its promise in the fathers and the mothers and the grandparents across our nation who work so hard every day for our children's future. I see it in the women who refuse to accept a future without reproductive freedom, and in the men who support them. I see it in people of all ages who have knocked on doors, made calls, sent texts, and who will spend tomorrow driving their fellow Americans to the polls.
And what a day it already seems to be if you've been following the crowds and desire to vote that have been taking place. And then finally last night, Kamala Harris, with her last ask just 9 minutes before midnight Eastern. How will it all turn out? Well, we don't know.
So tonight I ask you one last time, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
So Kamala Harris closing out what was certainly an unusual campaign in terms of how short it was, of course, becoming the presumptive and eventually official nominee only after Joe Biden decided that he would not pursue re-election in the middle of summer, ending on a positive note with a campaign that was by no means perfect. Should she have done Rogan? Well, it's being second guessed endlessly after it seems as though at least some people believe doing Rogan was great for Trump. Could it have been a better campaign? It always could be. But when you compare the last 2 weeks of Kamala Harris's campaign to the confusion and disorientation of Trump in these final days, there really is no comparison. So this is how Kamala Harris closed out the campaign. After the break, we're going to look at what Trump made his final message. It's not good. It's not good. It's election day. I'm so glad you're here. We'll know the results soon, but for now, we'll continue going over these critical final 24 hours. Our sponsor, Cook Unity, is the #1 meal delivery service in the United States, and it's really easy to understand why. Cook Unity stands out from the other meal subscription services by offering chef-crafted, restaurant-quality dishes by chefs you've actually heard of. Cook Unity is the first ever marketplace where you can discover and celebrate the absolute best food the world has to offer, with award-winning chefs, local farm-fresh ingredients, and vibrant flavors all delivered right to your door. Their roster of all-star chefs includes Food Network alums, James Beard Award winners, acclaimed restaurateurs, balancing flavor and nutrition in small batch meals sent fresh, not frozen. No cleanup or meal planning, meals delivered fully cooked. Heat them up in as little as 5 minutes, select from over 350 meals, or have them pick for you. You can browse the menu by protein, by chef, by cuisine, by dietary need. You will find something you love. Menus are updated weekly. New chefs are always joining the team, so you'll always find new favorites. Eating well is easy with Cook Unity, affordable food crafted by award-winning chefs delivered to your door. Go to cookunity.com/Pacman or enter the code Pacman before checkout for 50% off your first week. Feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or struggling to sleep? One of our sponsors today is Pulsetto, a wearable that works with your vagus nerve. Think of it as your body's relaxation superhighway running from your brain to your organs. When your brain wants to send a calm down signal to your body, this is the express lane. The beauty of Pulsetto is simplicity. 5 to 10 minutes a day. You wear it while you're going about your regular activities. You don't need to carve out time or find a quiet space. Connect to the Pulsetto app. Choose from stress, anxiety, sleep, or burnout. Whether you're looking to enhance your meditation practice, ease into sleep, lower your heart rate, Pulsetto works with your body's natural systems to find balance. Pulsetto is already offering a big $200 discount, but my audience can get an additional 10% off by going to pulsetto.tech and using the code Pacman at checkout. Find the link in the description below. Now, at the end of the 2024 presidential campaign, I will remind you for the final time in this election cycle that we've been able to be here with you all of this time thanks to your support. We are not part of a big media conglomerate. We are certainly not receiving Russian money through a sketchy intermediary. That's for sure. We are at the end of this one, but it is only the beginning of the next. And if Trump wins today, we are going to need your support to play some of the highest stakes defense you can imagine. And if Kamala Harris wins tonight, or we find out about it in the next couple of days, we are going to need strong, progressive, independent media to make sure that it is not the default centrist path that is followed by the forthcoming Democratic administration. Either way, I invite you to support our work at joinpacman.com. My estimate is about 0.5% of our audience supports us directly. That's 0.5%. If we could bump that to 1%, we would be indefinitely financially sustainable no matter what YouTube does, no matter what X does, no matter the vagaries of these algorithmically driven platforms. So consider signing up at joinpacman.com. And as the last day ever, you can use the coupon code SAVEDEMOCRACY24. We looked at the final day of Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. We will now look at the final day of Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Now, before we even get to the substance of Trump's final rallies, I must tell you that the theme yesterday was really low turnout for Trump. Where is everyone? Where are the people? Multiple rallies with no low turnout in North Carolina, in Pennsylvania. We have a picture from Reading, Pennsylvania, or Reading. It's Reading, Massachusetts. I don't know if they say Reading or Reading in Pennsylvania. Regardless, the picture from Reading, Pennsylvania shows even the floor seats not totally full, with reports of campaign staff herding people into sections to make them look full, according to Mother Jones' David Korn. And this was the theme: surprisingly light turnout. CNN reporting from Reading, Pennsylvania, saying not a lot of people at these rallies.
The turnout today so far for this event is quite thin. There is a lot of empty seats left in this arena, and Donald Trump is now supposed to speak in the next hour here. So I'm not saying that's a sign about what we can expect in Pennsylvania by any stretch or in this county, but Donald Trump has built his brand around his ability to turn out large crowds. And so far in the stops today in North Carolina and here in Reading, it is noticeably thin here.
All right. So it is pronounced Reading, apparently. And yes, when you stake your value and the success of your campaign on crowd size, and there's empty floor seats, it certainly doesn't look good. One other report, this one from MSNBC, Vaughn Hilliard, also that these are some of the smallest crowds Trump has had.
Here, we're in North Carolina. This is going to be his first stop. He's making 2 stops in Pennsylvania, Reading, and then Pittsburgh before finishing the night, as he did in 2016 and 2020 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I want to show you guys real fast what this crowd looks like, because Donald Trump was scheduled to take the stage at 10 a.m. And our Tony Butler is going to show you what this crowd currently looks like.
Wow.
We're looking at about a capacity about 70% full here. And for 9 years, I'm going to have Tony Pan to the right. For 9 years, we have talked about the enthusiasm in the masses that have come out for Trump's rallies time and again, even at his politically lowest points, including in 2022. But interestingly, and I can't tell you exactly why, but in this final week, we have seen far smaller crowds. We were in Greensboro, North Carolina, where just a few thousand people. Macon, Georgia, just a few thousand people. Yeah.
Now, let me tell you one thing about this. One of the reactions has been the reason that the crowds were light yesterday is because so many people voted early. And after you vote early, you're not interested in going to rallies anymore. There are 2 reasons to doubt that message. Number one, who says if you already voted, you're not interested in going to a rally? I mean, the rally is not necessarily directly connected to the vote. You might vote early and then say, I'm going to go see the rally for the guy or gal I just voted for. And secondly, Kamala Harris did not seem to be experiencing the same crowd size problem. So if it is the case that once people vote, they're not interested in rallies anymore, why would that only apply to Trump supporters and not Kamala Harris supporters? Regardless, where I want to focus is not the crowd size, which was weak for Trump, but the content and substance of the rallies, and it was really, really bad. Donald Trump with a major malfunction at the critical moment of the campaign, the final night of the presidential campaign, Trump closing out his rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at one point saying that he's in Detroit, even though he was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Forget about that. We're now used to Trump not knowing where he is or who he's talking to or who he's running against or who the president is or who the president was. We're used to that, and he still might win. Trump, mostly incoherent, listen to the energy lacking, and the crowd behind him looks despondent.
It's become a very big story already. So we're going to tell Mexico you're killing tremendous numbers of our people by allowing China to send their fentanyl through your system and through your country.
The entire night was like this, and we will take out crazy Kamala, who's a Marxist and a socialist, and the United States. The entire speech focused on getting vengeance against his political enemies, which is exactly what he will try to do. And it's the opposite of Harris's message. Harris's message is, I'll be the president for everybody, and I'll listen to people even if they didn't vote for me. Trump's message is, I'm going to get revenge on my political enemies. Trump on Nancy Pelosi, alluding to she's a bitch, although he said, I'm not going to say it. I want to say it, but I won't say it.
She's a crooked person. She's a bad person. Evil. She's an evil, sick, crazy bitch. Oh, no.
Bitch.
It starts with a B, but I won't say it. I want to say it.
And as usual, the audio at Trump's rallies, absolutely terroristic. Trump not only going after Nancy Pelosi, also talking about the stupid generals. Nobody supports and respects the troops more than Trump. But what about these stupid, terrible generals? By the way, this was at almost 1 a.m. 1 a.m.
It's done in a matter of weeks. When our stupid generals, our terrible generals, that the guys up top like Milley, like Kelly, real losers. Kelly was dumb as a rock. I'll never do that again. I say, give me a letter of resignation. Yes, sir. It's done in a matter.
The question, of course, is, will the hateful rhetoric reign supreme? Will the voters say, I want the guy with the hateful rhetoric to be president? I hope that the answer is no. Donald Trump, as part of his final pitch to voters, reminding us he doesn't even see migrants as people.
100%. 100% of the jobs that were created went to migrants, not to people. And I'll tell you,
100% of the jobs that were created went to migrants, not to people. They aren't people in Donald Trump's mind. And finally, continuing the politics of personal attacks, this was now earlier in the night in Pittsburgh, Donald Trump just viciously attacking Adam Schiff and fantasizing about the decapitation of Adam Schiff.
they tried to put him in jail, Adam Schiff. Conceived of the story. Think of it. Adam Shifty Schiff, one of the truly unattractive people. I call him Watermelon Head. He's got the largest
Watermelon
head and the smallest neck. He's got a neck that's about 4 inches around. He's got a watermelon on top of it. But he's not a stupid person, but he's an evil kind of person. And he's likely going to be a senator, unfortunately. But I mean, this scum is going to be a senator. So their movement carries on, but our movement carries on too. As long as ours carries on. No, he's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. Do you think he can play football for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I don't think so. One shot, and there goes the whole thing would fall apart. One little shot.
Yeah, just one shot and decapitated would be Adam Schiff. So a final day of deranged and delusional rallies. Will these work as a final case to the American people? We'll find out. Let's go to what I'm calling a reverse moment of Zen. I'm going to play something very special for you. And I want to take this seriously, but it's also a little tongue-in-cheek, okay? I am going to play for you the final, potentially, the final 100 seconds of the atrocity that has been Donald Trump as a political figure. Now, I'm not denying that no matter what happens tonight, he'll claim he won and he'll come out at 2 a.m. and say we won or what. Okay. As far as the bulk of Trump as a campaigning elected official, I'm going to play for you what I hope are the final 100 seconds of Trump's political life. This took place after the stroke of 2 a.m. last night in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is the last disgusting rally closing from Trump. It's hopefully the last abortive performance of YMCA. Let's all watch it together and hope. If you pray, I'll take the prayer, right? Baruch Hashem, this is the final moment of Trump's political career as a campaigning candidate. This was it. Let's all hope together that it is over, and then we will go to a break.
We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down, and we will never, ever surrender. Together, we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. November 5th, today, will be the most important day in the history of our country. And together we will make America powerful again. Obama. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. Bobby Kennedy Jr. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. I love you. I love you all. God bless you. God bless you, Michigan. God bless the United States of America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Great honor. Thank you.
Audio weirdly cuts. Continued audio issues. And hopefully the last time we will ever have to endure the double jerk dance. Think about that. We'll take a quick break, and the show continues on this very consequential election day. Don't forget that the best way to support the David Pakman Show is by becoming a member, which gives you access to the daily bonus show, the regular show with no commercials. You also get access to our entire archive of every episode dating back a really long time, and plenty of other awesome membership perks. Go to joinpakman.com, joinpakman.com. On the eve of today's election, Elon Musk appeared on the Joe Rogan program and generating quite a bit of discussion. First and foremost, Joe Rogan formally endorsed Donald Trump yesterday. I want to start with that. He went from Bernie bro to Trump supporter, I guess. Joe Rogan posting to X about his interview with Elon Musk and adding, "The great and powerful Elon Musk. If it wasn't for him, we'd be fucked. He makes what I think is the most compelling case for Trump you'll hear, and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Trump. Enjoy the podcast." Now, so many wondering what happened to Rogan. He used to be on the left. He still says he's on the left, but he's not going for Kamala. He's going for Trump. Is it because of the Texas environment in which he is now deeply involved, where he's hanging out with the sorts of people who support, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and it's just kind of the groupthink of the area? Or is it personally motivated by some desire for a particular tax policy, or listen, I don't know the answer, but this is where we ended up with an endorsement of Donald Trump by Joe Rogan. Now, it's a multi-hour episode. We're too busy today to dig into a ton of it, but the 29 seconds that I've chosen for you of Elon Musk's appearance is this sort of freak out. If Trump doesn't win, everything will be over and terrible. And just consider how hyperbolic this all sounds.
If the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried
and
to
I
push
just want to
back?
Go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
Okay, this is the last chance. Now, I know that it's super popular to attack California in MAGA circles, but when Elon says everywhere will be like California if Harris wins, that sounds pretty damn good. I know that much is made of, crime is sky high in California. It's not. Overall, crime continues to decline. If you put 40 million people in a state, are you going to have crime? Yes, you're going to have crime. But the stories about the rampant increase in crime are fabricated. California, if it were a country by itself, would be one of the wealthiest and most dynamic and productive countries, both in terms of intellectual property and thought leadership in the world. If every state were like California, we wouldn't be worried about China nipping at our heels. We wouldn't be worried about Russia wanting to supplant the US as a global superpower. If we had 50 Californias making up the United States, it would be a force to be reckoned with intellectually, economically, and culturally. Is it expensive? Yes, it's expensive. Places are expensive, often because of supply and demand. There's a reason you can get a near mansion in rural Texas for $200,000. It's because very few people want to live there. You might want to, and that's fine, but very few people want to live there. There's a reason a studio apartment in New York City or San Francisco costs what it costs, which is that tons of people want to live there. And so the it's expensive thing also isn't even really the attack that I think they want it to be. Needless to say, cost of living is a problem. These are all real problems. But if every state were like California, that's not an apocalyptic vision. That's imagine what we would be doing on a global scale if we had 50 Californias. So bottom line, Elon Musk is going full in on Trump. Joe Rogan is going full in on Trump. Either he wins or he doesn't, and we'll find out soon. Looking through the final rallies of Donald Trump before today's election, in Reading, Pennsylvania, a shiny orange, dripping wet Trump fantasized about violence against women, suggesting that Kamala Harris enter a boxing ring with Mike Tyson.
Mike's been through a lot, but he could fight. Let me tell you, that guy could fight. But can you imagine Mike? Oh, he says, put Mike in the ring with Kamala. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. That'd be nice. Once again, if you're a guy with Trump's background, I don't know that I would be waxing poetic about Kamala Harris fighting a boxer. Trump also pushing the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, which we know is a favorite of right-wing shooters.
The open borders, we're going to close the borders. You say, can you imagine you actually have to say that? What the hell? I mean, who the hell wants open borders where criminals from all over the world can just walk into our country? These are crazy people, or they hate our country, or they think they're going to get these people to sign up and vote. I guess maybe that's it. But it's not defensible.
There you go. Just completely incoherent ranting about Great Replacement. Trump, at another point in the rally, seemingly confused, just talking about French fries. French fries.
And I have to say, those French fries are really good when you get them right out of that fat or whatever the hell they cook it with, fat. I don't know if it's good for you, but they are really good.
What's really funny about Trump talking about French fries and the fat that they are cooked in is that it relates directly to more misinformation spread by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who seems to be saying that there are no seed oils used in British McDonald's fries, which is not true. He said they use tallow, but they actually don't. There is no topic that they can just cleanly deal with and move on without either lies or distortions. And then finally, Trump closing out his rally in Reading, Pennsylvania, with some strange kind of growling.
And we will make America great again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Great again. All right. So there is Trump in Reading, Pennsylvania. We are uh-oh. Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness. A light cover just fell, and now I am in such a bright room. Oh, my goodness. Let's just keep going, and I'm going to fix it after because we're just too busy today to deal. But that is bright. My goodness. A zero-energy Trump in Raleigh, North Carolina, North Carolina, talked about hitting Michelle Obama. If I were Trump, I wouldn't be talking about hitting women.
Countries weren't accepting him back until I came. You know, with Barack Hussein Obama, I call him the Great Divider. He's the Great Divider. And he hit, and Michelle hit me. I was so nice to her. Out of respect, I was so nice. She hit me the other day. I was going to say to my people, am I allowed to hit her now? They said, take it easy, sir. Sir, take it easy. My geniuses, I'm telling you, they said, just take it easy. Oh, what do you mean? She said bad about me. I can't hit back. Sir, you're winning. Just relax. Is that good or bad advice?
Now, I know that Donald Trump is not literally saying he wants to punch Michelle Obama, but if you're Trump, if you have Trump's background, if you have Trump's background with women saying that you've sexually assaulted them, I don't know, I'd be talking about, I was asking my advisors if I can hit Michelle Obama. Everything going wrong for Trump during this rally. At one point, while a video played for the crowd, Trump was audible on microphone telling someone off stage, tell him no, multiple times.
And immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach.
Tell him no.
And
Tell him no, Trump is saying. Really weird. Trump strangely obsessed with Nancy Pelosi. We saw earlier how Trump said he wanted to call Nancy Pelosi a bitch, but he was not going to do it. Trump at another point during this rally saying that she's crazy and that she committed a crime when she ripped up Donald Trump's State of the Union speech. It is not a crime to do that.
This was crazy, Nancy. She's such a bad one. She's already plotting a move to try and impeach him. She's a bad, sick woman. She's crazy as a bedbug. Remember she ripped up the paper behind me? You know, she could have gone to jail for that. You're not allowed to do that.
She could not have gone to jail for that, and you are allowed to rip up papers. And by the way, imagine continuing to attack Nancy Pelosi apropos of nothing at multiple rallies when one of your fans broke into her house and hit her husband in the head with a hammer, requiring surgery. And he keeps going after Nancy Pelosi for no reason whatsoever. The protector of women, he called himself 2 days ago. Finally, Right Side Broadcasting hilariously panning as Trump walked off stage, and it revealed just how many empty seats there were. As you can see here, they zoom out and it looks busy. Half of the area right behind Trump sitting completely empty. So very, very different final days on the campaign trail for Trump versus for Kamala Harris. After the break, what was J.D. Vance up to on this final day of the campaign? It was disgusting. I'll preview that for you. If you value what we do at The David Pakman Show, remember to support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show, where you can get access to behind-the-scenes videos, the daily bonus show, the commercial-free daily show. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month check it out at patreon.com/DavidPakmanShow. All right, we are at the end. We are closing out the final show before the 2024 presidential election with a few final notes. We'll hear from J.D. Vance. We'll hear from Tucker Carlson. I did want to, when it's glitch after glitch after glitch, what's one more glitch? But I did find it sort of funny or sad that Donald Trump in North Carolina yesterday referred to Senate candidate David McCormick, who's of course running in Pennsylvania. Trump confused about where he is, confused about what's going on, just endlessly confused, and yet people say he's fine. Trump saying, you guys have David McCormick here in North Carolina. And of course you don't. David McCormick is running in a completely different place. Here is a very feeble and confused Donald Trump.
But we have great Republicans running, and you have one of the best of all right here, David McCormick. Where's David? Is he around someplace? We just left him. He's great.
The audience confused because David McCormick has nothing to do with North Carolina. He's a candidate in Pennsylvania. And in fact, David McCormick, we are supposed to believe Trump thinks he's so great, except Trump endorsed Dr. Oz over David McCormick in the last Senate primary in Pennsylvania. It's all ridiculous. It's all whacked out. This just gets to the final message on cognition. There is no doubt that much of the country agrees Joe Biden is too old to be president again. And Joe Biden is not running to be president again. It's Kamala Harris who cognitively could not be better. Linguistic analysis proves this. Debate performance proves this. Common sense proves this. On the other hand, you have a Donald Trump who has spent years talking about Joe Biden's cognition, and Trump is really struggling. A linguistic analysis has shown significant decline for Trump. He often doesn't know where he is. He often doesn't know who he's talking to. He often doesn't know who he's running against. He often doesn't know who the president is. He often doesn't know who he defeated in 2016. He often doesn't know who he ran against in 2020. It's not good. It's not good. And all of a sudden, the MAGA people want to take this completely off the table, or they want to use projection and directly lie to us and tell us, oh, something's going on with Kamala Harris's cognitive ability. We all know exactly what is going on. I believe that the American people and the voting public at large know it as well. We will know very soon, but glitching up to the last moment. J.D. Vance, as the least popular running mate in modern American political history, had a closing message last night for the campaign, which is Kamala Harris is trash. Kamala Harris is trash. I don't know how many people are going to be attracted by this. Here's J.P. Mandel in Atlanta yesterday.
But in 2 days, we are going to take out the trash in Washington, D.C., and the trash's name is Kamala Harris.
There's a lot to be said about the difference between Harris and Trump. We could talk only about domestic policy. We could talk only about foreign policy. We could talk only about personality and sort of a constitutional predisposition to what the role of the presidency requires. We could talk about how they relate to their families. We could talk about their intellect. We could talk about, cognition. All on any of these bases, I would choose Harris over Trump. But where I really it grinds my gears, is when I think about J.D. Vance, this condescending clown, being vice president of the United States and maybe even really acting president in the sense that we all see Trump's deterioration. And I don't know that Trump's really going to be the guy in charge after 6 or 12 months the way he's going, meaning it'll be J.D. That really, really reinforces we have to defeat these people. We have to do it. It must be done. And let's hope that we are able to do it, because the trash is Kamala, very much unbecoming of this office that Trump and Vance are seeking. Very much so. Tucker Carlson has gone full lunatic. I played a clip for you yesterday of Tucker saying he was once mauled by a demon while he was sleeping. The demon cut up Tucker's leg. Well, I asked, is this a grift or is this mental illness? You were split 50-50 on it. We now have another Tucker Carlson clip where Tucker is saying abortion may be causing hurricanes. This is supposed to be the great thinker of the right wing. There are people who say this guy is just, he's such an intellectual. He's such a thinker. Here is Tucker saying the cause of hurricanes could be abortion.
You're making the case that, sometimes we need to have an abortion. Okay. If you're making the case that abortion is an affirmative good, you are evil. You're practicing child sacrifice. And that is exactly what they're doing, as every culture before us has. But to see the Treasury Secretary, that dwarf, Janet Yellen, get up and say, you can do your part to help the American economy by killing your child, that's no different than the Canaanites, actually. So if people who don't see that clearly, that's exactly what it is. Worshipping abortion, the killing of kids, not as something that needs to happen, unfortunately, but as something that is good, that's pro-abortion.
By the way, I've still never met the pro-abortion people in the way that Tucker describes. Never in my life.
People, and I have to say, I'm sure I'll be attacked for saying this, but I really believe it. People are like, oh, well, we had another hurricane, must be global warming. No, it's probably abortion, actually, just being honest.
There you go.
You can't do that. You can't kill children on purpose, knowing that you're doing that in exchange for power or freedom or happiness, whatever you think you're getting in return. You can't participate in human sacrifice.
Tucker Carlson says the real cause of hurricanes is probably abortion. Is it real? Has he made his final transformation into deluded lunatic, or is this a grift? I'll remind you not of what he said yesterday, but of this moment where during his live event tour, Tucker had Russell Brand on with him. Russell Brand has also found that finding religion is a really great grift. And Tucker asked Russell to pray. Is this real, or is it part of the grift?
Everyone's going to share your beliefs or my beliefs, but would you close in prayer?
Oh, yeah, all right.
I call on the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, our heavenly Savior. Lord, I humbly in this great congregation in Phoenix, Arizona, with my host, Tucker Carlson, in deference to him, but in ultimate deference to you, our Lord and Savior, to whom we are all your younger siblings and your children. I pray in your name that the forthcoming election be an opportunity for unity for America and for Americans, for forgiveness and for grace, that the dark and demonic forces that appear...
All right, I think you get it. So Tucker does seem to be fully into this stuff. And finally, for everybody who wrote to me and said Tucker's story about being mauled by a demon is fake, he knows it's fake. He just mentioned it on that documentary. Well, here is Tucker Carlson telling the exact same story again. I'm leaning towards he really believes this crap.
On February 20th, 2023, I was attacked in my bed by a spiritual being and clawed and left bleeding and scarred. And do I understand what happened? No, of course I don't. I don't really understand anything, but that did happen to me. I don't care if people believe me or not. It did. And I think it was just a momentary glimpse of something that's happening at all times, which is, again, this war between forces that we can't see, but that has been ongoing and has been, in fact, described by every culture.
By the way, if this is Tucker Carlson trying to cover up that he had an affair, you could probably come up with a much more believable story. If that's what this is, I have no evidence of that.
Since the beginning, every culture that we know about has described this battle. And in fact, it's been the basis of every religion. It's certainly the basis of Christianity, which I think is true. By the way, factually speaking, I think Christianity is true. But even if you don't, I think you can acknowledge that we're the only culture that hasn't been really absorbed in thinking and talking about this. Not since we dropped the atomic bomb in Nagasaki, the second one in August of 1945, and decided that we were gods, and the God himself no longer existed. Since then, we have been a secular society, and that's why we're now being destroyed, in my view.
I think it's real, guys. I think he's completely lost his marbles, and he seems utterly cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. With every clip I see, I'm increasingly convinced, but I want to hear from you. Join me tonight for the final live stream of the 2024 election season. I will be live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and maybe more with live results. I don't know how late we will go. We will just go until we have some definition. If you have considered supporting progressive independent media and haven't yet, I implore you, consider signing up at joinpacman.com. And please, please, please pre-order my forthcoming book, The Echo Machine. A lot is riding on this book release. There is the belief that unless you have the support of a CNN or an MSNBC or a New York Times, you can't have a successful nonfiction political book release, okay? I believe that you can, and I want your help proving that. We're at 2,700 pre-orders for the book. Help us get to 3,000. You can get the book in physical form, audio book, which I'm in the middle of recording, or ebook. They all count as a copy pre-ordered. davidpacman.com/echo, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any local bookstore can get it for you. Audible, Apple Music Podcast, the whole thing, okay? Kindle. Consider pre-ordering the book and then get your free stuff by submitting your receipt at davidpacman.com/free book stuff. I hope to see you tonight on the bonus show. We will get producer Pat's final predictions, what to watch tonight. I hope that you will listen to today's bonus show. And I will see you tomorrow in what may be a new world, but I hope to see you tonight first. Thanks a lot for watching today's show. I just want to take a second to tell you about today's sponsors. Our sponsor, Cook Unity, is the only meal subscription that brings locally sourced meals from award-winning chefs right to your door every week. Cook Unity is a collective of some of the best chefs in the country, handcrafting meals in their micro kitchens, delivered fresh, never frozen. There are hundreds of dishes to choose from. The menu is updated constantly. Pick as few as 4 or as many as 16 meals per week. Go to cookunity.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman before checkout for 50% off your first week.